Our loved ones on the other side never leave us. Never, ever, ever, ever. They love you, they know what's going on in your life, and they guide and protect you from the other side. And I'm going to share a few examples of why I truly believe with all of my heart that this is true. Are you ready? Mediums will often bring up a memory. So, for example, a medium might say, the loved ones on the other side are showing me a picture of the two of you when you were at the beach burying each other in the sand. And you'll say, oh my gosh, I had that picture out last week and I was looking at it. And the medium will say, they were with you at that moment. Spirits seem to be really excited when we remember them, tell stories, and talk about them because it keeps their memory alive. And they were right there with you at that exact moment when you were thinking about them. Want to connect with your loved one? Talk to them out loud and tell a story of a memory that you have of them. Now, I know it might sound funny, but we are always going to miss our loved ones more than they miss us. And it's because they're not gone in the way that we envision them to be gone. We can't see them, so it kind of feels like out of sight, out of mind, but it's not that way for them. They just made an energy transition from this human body into a soul or a light body, and they can see us. They can sit with us and comfort us. And I want to bring up the 1998 movie, What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. And I'm going to share this scene, but first I have to tell a story. So, back after Mark had died, he had been gone about 3 weeks. I had been on this reading frenzy and I was spending a lot of time taking these longer walks because I was super sad about his loss. And I decided to download a few books on tape so that I would have something to listen to besides my iPhone music at the time because music was often way too emotional for me in the very beginning to handle. So I was on this walk and I found a book called Spirit Whisperer by John Holland. It was an hour and a half book. It was a perfect length for me to listen to on a 10-mile walk. And as I was listening to it, John referenced that movie, What Dreams May Come. And he said that his spirit team showed him that that movie was a very close replication of what things are really like on the other side. Then, a few weeks later, I was reading a book by Lisa Williams called Survival of the Soul. She's another medium. Again, she referenced this movie, What Dreams May Come, and said the same thing, that this is a great interpretation of what it's like, what the reality of our souls are like experiencing this heavenly realm on the other side. So I decided I had to see this movie again. And back in the day when Netflix would allow you to order a movie and they'd send a DVD to your house, I ordered this movie. But at the time I was getting ready to go out of town, and the movie didn't get there in time, so I had to go on my trip without it. This movie was still on my mind when I entered the frozen food section of this tiny grocery store in Munising, Michigan. It's a town of about 2,000 people. They only have two grocery stores in the town. And this little section always carried about 50 movies in it. And I'm looking through the movies, and sure enough, they're carrying What Dreams May Come. I mean, think about how incredible this is. First of all, the town is super tiny. This movie had been released 14 years earlier, and this was before Robin Williams died. So it's not like they're carrying it because of his memory. And, it was just happened to randomly be there. So, of course, I bought this movie and I took it to my cabin and I began watching it. And as soon as I started watching it, I was like, oh, I saw this movie like many, many years ago when it was released. But this time I saw it with a completely different perspective. And as I watched the movie, it really, really touched me. And there were two scenes in particular that I want to share. So, first of all, spoiler alert, Robin Williams dies in pretty much the beginning of this movie, but he's dead in the movie, and his widow is sitting there at his gravesite crying. And so he comes up behind her and hugs her to comfort her from behind. And she winces and she begins crying louder. And so he says, okay, goodbye. And he leaves her. And later on, she is by herself and he's standing next to her and he's kind of like pacing around because she's so distraught and she's so sad by his death. And he touches her and she again senses him. But when he touches her, she begins to sob and wail and cry harder. And I referenced this two books where these mediums said that this movie depicts how the other side works. And I have since heard this movie referenced many, many times by many other mediums, but this many people referencing this can't be wrong. And I personally have had an experience where I felt my loved one touch me. And it always would bring me joy, but it would also bring me waves of sadness and tears at that loss. So we are energetically connected to our loved ones without a doubt. And I think that the deeper the soulmate or twin flame connection is, the bigger that energy is between us. But if we're really able to connect with them and they have to, deal with our lower level emotions of sadness and grief, it makes it harder for them to connect with us. So time for our loved ones on the other side is very different. And I think it's a big part of why our loved ones don't miss us in the same way we miss them, because although it seems to us like we go on and we live without them for decades, to them, they feel like they saw us yesterday and they're going to see us tomorrow. To them, it feels like we're just on a 2-week vacation, even though we might live for 30 years longer than they did. So, all of this aside, our loved ones love us. They never stop caring. They are right there day or night when you think of them and when you talk to them. They love you. They know what is going on in your life and they whisper guidance and love and these amazing thoughts to help you in your ear. And if you didn't get the chance to say goodbye or to say things that you wished you had said to them before they died, say them now. They will hear you. You are always, 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 always loved.